Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is BSL Hasuleauge Round of 8, which you hopefully can see on the overlay. I will admit the overlay is a little bit different than usual, primarily because usually I kind of use this fancy setup that Zero put together that utilizes Google Drive and Google Documents. But for whatever reason, it is down tonight, which is very rare for Google. So instead, I'm going to have to do the overlay that I've got built currently, and we'll see what happens down the line. Hopefully these weren't all set to private, or I wasn't randomly kicked out of them or something along those lines. I wouldn't expect that to be the case, but it's weird because when I actually show if I switch scenes, which I'm not going to do because it totally messes with everything, you would see that it can't even, it like shows portions of it and then it's airing out on references in certain portions. So I'm kind of curious what's going on. Anyway, we're going to have Pierozan going up against Tom in game 1. Tom showed some really good macro. Pierozan, if I recall, had some really good troop movement. If I'm remembering correctly to the previous, it looks like it is going to be ZVZ, which anything can happen. And I should reveal the map given the fact that we don't have the map listed in the overlay right this second. It is going to be, I forgot to put BSL Hasuleauge in that aspect, whatever. You guys know it's BSL Season 21. Overlord's going to pass each other. We're on Radion, which I don't think makes as significant. It feels like a more straightforward map in ZVZ. I feel like maps like Knockout and a few others where there's a lot of pathings, where the Zerglings can kind of scatter about. There's a significant difference, but not otherwise. In the meantime, it looks like we had an overpool build from Pierozan currently, and we've got an 11 hatch. Maybe a 12 hatch there from Tom. Just almost a 12 hatch, I think, there from Tom. So Tom economically will be ahead, technologically will be slightly behind. He knows the location of his opponent, granted, and there's going to be perfect information both directions. So we'll see. I think that given the circumstances, this should flat out favor Tom. And I do believe the standard play, as far as a counter, is to utilize the superior larva and the slightly superior economy to go with a few more Zerglings in the early stages to kind of put pressure on the natural expansion and try to balance the Zerglings against the building of the Spire. So natural expansion will be finished a lot more rapidly. Pierozan actually up in drones right this second, building a few Zerglings right this moment. We'll be able to run them across the map, but I don't know that he's going to get a lot accomplished, because I think that with the timing of everything, off a 9 pool, you can basically get damage done and threaten the low ground natural expansion and force some drones off the line. Off an overpool, the Zerglings end up on the map a lot later, and usually you're facing at least 4 Zerglings. Looks like 6, and a layer is being mutated behind this. So Pierozan will end up ahead in that tech, sending an initial 2 Zerglings out on the map. Overlord will spawn. So right now he's got the vision ahead. Looks like he's holding the Zerglings back right this second. I actually missed this, built actually 4, and did build 6 along that corner. He's got a few more constructing, but the advantage is to Tom overall, theoretically. Zergling speed being queued up about the same time. And I think actually also with the overpool timing on the layer, it's not such that I think the Mutalisks end up in the air and you might be able to pick off an Overlord. This Overlord, well, I think Tom may be thinking about going for more Zergling aggression, potentially all in off the 2 hatch, which is fairly typical, because he's not drawing this second Overlord back. Instead, he's pushing this Overlord in to get eyes. I'm not sure if Pierozan's going to queue in on that. That makes it a little bit harder timing-wise. So the layer's up, by the way. Pierozan delaying a little bit here. He's down 2 drones right this second. Is not dropping the Spire, however, and the more he delays on dropping that Spire, the more Tom has that momentum to pick back up. He's actually dropped the Spire at close to the same time here, interestingly enough. Yeah, I guess the other problem for Pierozan is he couldn't wander the Overlord up fast enough to get a look at how many Zerglings were potentially on the low ground. He's dropped the Sunken Colony low ground opposite corner. It looks like he's got a full control group plus of Zerglings, but as you can see, Tom's got a lot of additional Zerglings and continuing to build, so it does look like he wants to go for a spike attack of Zerglings, likely around the timing of the Spire hatching, and he should be fairly aware. Pierozan sees the Zerglings making their way out. That should be a heads up. That Sunken Colony, I believe, will provide the difference. Pierozan continue to build Zerglings, by the way, here on the low ground. Tom's still maintaining that 2 worker lead. Is he going to draw the Overlords back now? No, he's going to leave the Overlords, Tom doing the very clever thing and checking all corners to make sure Zerglings didn't randomly flood out somewhere out on the map. His Spire not that far from finishing. He actually might have realized that the Spire timing was about close. He's still going to go for the dive. He's drawing the Overlords away. This is going to be potentially too late to save them. Pierozan moving out now with his Zerglings, getting a few shots, going to end up losing a Zergling, however. And Tom now holding close. Now he needs to be very careful on the opposite side of the map. Oh, this is crazy. With the way things have worked out, Pierozan supply blocked himself in the space of this, and all of a sudden Tom's got an air fleet lead as well as some Scourge, and I think he recognizes it overall, so he's going to go ahead and draw back. And so now he's got a lot of Zerglings on the ground. The big thing now for Tom is he going to be able to protect? So he's got two, he's immediately moving in Scourge, one to maybe pick off a Mutalisk as it hatches, but also to potentially push them away and buy time for the Overlords to make their way out on the map. Overlords pecking away at the Overlord near side. The Mutalisks and Scourge now on the map here for Pierozan. He's again in the red, and all of a sudden Tom is running away with this map. A few Zerglings running in. They're going to get picked off. Overlord repositioning, a single Zergling running near side, and Pierozan's in huge trouble now because he's down economically. He's locked out of his natural expansion right this second. Really can't afford to spend larva, or he just has to keep building Mutalisks right this second, and he's all of a sudden down 10 supply. And a good portion of that, I do believe, is an air fleet. So Tom is ahead in effectively all regards. However, looks like the Overlords have been able to make their way out. More Scourge making their way forward to provide some scouting. It looks like Pierozan has added a few extra. Tom's going to be able to see that second gas coming online. Mutalisk spawns but dies to the Scourge immediately. Well played there from Tom. So getting pretty good use, got full use really out of them altogether because he got the spotting information he was looking for. Pierozan looking to do the same thing opposite side. Is he going to get a Mutalisk? Does not look like he was able to. Very solid micro there on Tom's part. And so now Tom, up 2 workers, is going to have +1 weapons down the line. He's got a larger air fleet, and it looks like Pierozan just managed to catch up as far as drone count, and there was a huge deficit in that in-between time. So he's then down 10 supply in the space of this. So one large attack here from Tom. I'm not sure if he I think he's got to recognize the position, moved up with some Mutal. I just missed a drone dying, didn't I? Yeah, it looks like the Mutals wandered up, took a shot, and drew right back out. And I think Tom can keep going with this. It looks like he's built a lot of Scourge in the space. I'm wondering how much of that supply is in Scourge overall. Kind of like Zerglings, where is it just half a supply? How does that even count? Anyway, Mutalisk moving up. They're going to start pecking away at that Overlord. Some 2 Zerglings running underneath to try to get spotting, and the Mutalisks, neither do they get they don't get the Overlord. Nice micro there by Tom, doing an immediate hold position and clearing out the Scourge. And Pierozan trying to draw an attack in, and that's going to be his demise because there's just more Scourge able to wipe out his Mutalisks. And now Tom able to walk the micro back. There's only 2 Mutalisks left versus 8. They're heavily damaged, and that should be GG right there. Pierozan gonna go ahead and GG it out. Game 1 goes to Tom in a very convincing manner. Off the 12 hatchery, rolling the build order lead. You know, they talk about Jaedong's dominance back in the ZVZ era, and really the aspect of it that made him so dominant is that when he had build order advantages, he didn't ever fumble them. He very, very was likely to win it, and Tom showing a little bit of that aspect here in this game 1. So we'll move on to game 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.